Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the Idea of Podcast. Shout out to my co-host Bossy, who is at home probably eating a big chicken leg or something like that. It's Mike and Bossy, the Idea of. This is our best of episode, right? So y'all know our relationship with technology is a little rocky. So what we try to do is take some of the best clips of 2025, throw them together. We don't got no transitions. It's no information telling y'all which episode you're listening to, but it's here. All right. We just want to throw those some on. You're at home chilling with your family, watching the game, watching Stranger Things, you know what I'm saying? And just something to put on the background while y'all eating chitlins and turkey legs and all that. But no, for real, thank y'all, everybody, for listening, folks that subscribe, folks that's been listening all year. For our new people, if you're not familiar with the Idea of, we just be talking stuff, talk about the nuance in everyday pop culture things, all things Black. We room for everybody Black. And that's what our show is all about. So got my daughter here. What's up, Brooklyn? You want to say hi? So tune in, press play, take a seat, have a good time, sip on a little something, whatever you got in your cup. But this is the best of the Idea of podcast, kinda. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully the clips make sense. Hopefully the volume is good. Again, our technology relationship is tawdry at best. But shout out. We'll see y'all in 2026. First week of January, we'll be back. You know what I'm saying? And we're just happy and thankful that y'all been listening. 2026 is going to be better, y'all, for everybody. For all of us, we just got to lock in and do our best. Right, Brooklyn? Yeah. For the Zip Mafia, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, say my mantra,
Okay. All right, y'all. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see y'all in 2026. Peace. Welcome to the Idea of, where we explore the noise, the nuance, and everything in between. I'm Mike.
And I'm Bossy.
And this is a space where culture, creativity, and a lack of technology collide. What's going on, Bossy? How you been?
I've been good. I'm actually, as you said that, I'm hungry apparently, but I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm still getting my feet back on the ground. I was out of town last week for a conference.
Doing hood rat shit with your friends.
Doing hood rat things with my friends. And I was in New Orleans for a week, and it was for work. It's a conference. And while I was at the conference, I was emceeing all of the opening, closing plenaries. So whenever everybody got together, I was the MC. And it's just, you know how it is, like when you're on for that long and you're somewhat like the face of the conference. So whenever I'm not on stage, I was like, hey, can I get a picture? So it's like you're on. And even when we left the hotel and like walking Bourbon Street, it's like, oh, look, it's the MC. So I couldn't even like, you know what I mean? But no, it was, I had a really, really good time. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a really fucking good MC.
I was about to tell you that.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm and I had some existential moments at this conference because, when you're good at something, and I'm sure you've experienced this as a phenomenal writer and poet, like when you're good at something, right? And you do it so well, and it's almost like other people either think that it's easy because you do it so well, and then it's almost like they underappreciate what it takes to be that good at the thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, while we're at the conference, there's other people that have to come on stage. The main keynote speaker, I should say his name. I can say his name. Kwame Alexander. You know Kwame.
The writer. I know him from yeah. I've known him for 30 years. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so super dope. He actually spoke in my graduation when I got my doctorate last year. That's how he ended up at this conference. Because I told the people, like, oh, you should check him out. He was available. He spoke. And he's dope. And I was like, I could, like, I'm an MC and I could do, you know what I'm saying? Without saying it. Like,
yeah.
And I know how much he got paid. It's like, I'm hating.
It's not hating. It's not hating.
You know what but you feel what I'm saying though, right?
I do.
So I'm watching him tell his story, and this is not even, no cap, as the kids say, but like his story and my story, like my personal story, there's so many intersections, right? Like, grew up in New York, he was raised in Virginia. he was raised in Chesapeake, Virginia, where my wife's family is from. And he went to Virginia Tech. I went to JMU, right up the street. His mentor was Nikki Giovanni. And one of my mentors is Nikki Giovanni's best friend, Dr. Joanne Gabin, who did The Furious Flower at JMU. It's like there's all these parallels. And so, I had this, nice write-up I did when I was getting ready to introduce him. And I went up to him before the show, before he spoke. And I'm like excited, like, yo, brother, I graduated American, telling him the whole story, the whole thing. And I told him the intersections, and he was like, all right, cool. And I was like, all right, cool, my nigga. Are you trying to play? Like, all right, I got you.
You think you're better than me?
I was furious because I'm like, I just know what my energy would be. Like, if that was the same, like happens all the time. People come up to you, you're like, oh, snap. Like, I just would have been a little bit more, I would have embraced the moment more as a Black man. He's, maybe 6 or 7. I think he's like 8 or 9 years older than me.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he was older when I knew him.
But he just didn't it was a little standoffish energy. I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, damn, he probably gonna, he's gonna like this keynote up. And then he did the keynote and, it was good. I was like, that energy wasn't like, you didn't have to give me that energy. You did Michael Jackson the keynote. I mean,
yeah,
you did it. But anyway, so I was just like, man, what am I doing? It made me think of us. It made me think of like our podcast, and we're always like, we're the best niggas doing this shit. And like, why don't people be recognizing? Like, I don't know. So I was in my feelings a little bit, but it was a great trip. I had a good time. I really, really love emceeing. I love like moving a program along, making connections. I have no fear on stage. And so it's just I'm almost like more comfortable on stage than I am just like walking around the audience or whatever. So it was just dope. I had a really good time.
Because of what you just said, I go out of my way, even if I'm not in the best mood, if I'm not having a good day, even if I'm tired, I go out of my way when people try to connect with me on that level to connect. Even like I get nervous, like randomly, like sometimes I'm fine and then out of nowhere I'm anxious, but I always push through that. And I have like I'm not going to say what my tell is, but I have a thing that I go to regardless of how I feel that keeps like a connection, because you never know how much it means to other people for you to exist or whatever. You don't really know, like there are people, we haven't talked about Hamilton, but like the way that Leslie Odom Jr. showed up in my life, he will never ever understand how important and pivotal his presence at that exact moment meant to me. There's just no way, especially because he probably has that effect on a million people. A million people will have a story like that. So I think about things like that when people approach me, whereas, yeah, people always say certain things to me, but you're saying it to me for the first time. It's the first time I'm hearing it from you, and I have to act accordingly. Like I just have to. And I've had that in my mind since I was on Teen Summit. It means something to that person, even if I've heard it a million times. So I can always, I will say this delicately. I always know the measure of a person based on how they receive things like that. Not in a negative, because some people handle things better or worse than other people, but I still think that if you make a decision, and it's a decision to be in a certain world, there's a responsibility that comes with it, and that's part of it. All that to say is like I'm validating the fact that it would suck.
It threw me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it would suck.
The thing that's crazy is I saw Ninth Wonder on a plane a couple weeks ago. Did I text you when that happened? Did I text? No, I text a group chat and I was like, yo, I am on a flight to DC and Ninth Wonder is right here. Like my producer idol. And everybody's like, yo, go talk to him. He's a nice dude. And I went and talked to him. It was like the most amazing thing ever. Like Dap, big Dap. Yo, thank you, bro. I'm sure it was annoying. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, this is when I was going back and forth to DC for work. So it was mad early in the morning. And that moment, I was like, I try not to come off like a fan thing, but just like on an art level, like and I told him like what you mean to hip hop, Black men, like of a certain age, like super, like, he was like, yo, bro, look, eye contact, big Dap, boom. Thank you for everything. Went on the way. Peace. With Kwame, I actually saw him that morning in the gym, right? In the gym. said nothing. I was like, nah, that's crazy. I'm gonna give him a space. The gym was mad packed. I could have, and what's even more crazy is I was listening to his book on Audible, and I was like, in preparation for the speech, in preparation for announcing him. And so I was like, oh man, look at that. Wow, like, oh, we're walking into the gym. I'm right behind him. Let him have his thing. But when we were in the auditorium with 1,000 people, we're literally getting ready to start. He's sitting there, and the director of the conference was like, oh, yeah, there goes Kwame. Go introduce yourself. I was like, oh yeah, bet. Went up. Yeah. So, and I'm always cognizant of, I don't ever want to come off as a fan. I don't ever want to come off as unless I am a fan for real. You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm, but this was just like, hey, I'm about to introduce you. I'm Mike. We crossed paths at America's graduation, and it was silence. But it's cool. It's cool. I'm not gonna hold it. I'm not. It's all whatever. It's whatever.
I mean, you might be tired. Like I said, it's everybody has their own thing.
Yeah.
Like I make a conscious decisions to do certain things, but everyone has their own thing.
Yeah. All right.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
No. It was, and he did it. It was a great speech. It was a great speech. I could have did it better. Anyway, no, I'm playing. We have some comments that we want to read. We have a comment that I want to read from our Spotify. And there's a person that's commented a few times. Her moniker is the Shady Dame, like SHAYDEE Dame. Do you know that person?
I don't think so.
And she's commented a few times, but she commented on the idea of conspiracy theories. And she thought that I was the only one that caught what Amanda Seales said about Trump. A revolutionary? The person that toxic whiteness put into power as a direct result of how having a black president made them feel? Sure, Jan, that was far too close to a right-wing talking point for my taste. Is she signaling that she's going to head over to that side? Did they cut her a check? She's been acting the check cleared as of late. That's her.
I don't think that she's moving to that side. I do think that there are people who are starting to recognize that it benefits them to be oppositional and contrarian. It benefits them on some level to do that. And I think that she's part of that. I think she's like, I don't think it's like money motivated for her. I think it's notoriety. I think she likes being the the topic of conversation. She likes people having these kinds of like feelings about her because she gets to play the political martyr.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's the check cleared either. I don't think she's getting like outright paid. But yeah, I guess you're right. I think so many podcasters walk that line. And this was an early episode of ours. I think we were talking about, it just came to my mind, that episode like Playing Dumb that we did, the idea of playing dumb. I think we were talking about Ish from Joe Budden and how, it's like, I don't know, and I think a lot of the ways that people think they have to podcast is, giving both sides a voice. You know what I mean? Or, let's consider both sides. In some of these content forums, there's like the guy that's always going to be on this side, and there's the guy that's always going to be on that side, regardless what the issue is and regardless what they really believe. But with her, and a lot of, we talked about briefly before we started recording, like these folks that are hell-bent on still, going to Obama's talks and going to Kamala's conversations and pointing out, about Gaza and Israel and all these things. There's something in the air now about, I think it's more than contrarianism, though. It seems a little bit more nefarious to me, but I don't know what the benefit is for people if they're not getting a check.
Were you the one who sent me the thing that she said? What's her name? Amanda said about she doesn't speak for Black people?
Yes.
You sent that to me.
Yes. Yeah. She said she doesn't speak for Black people, but like she's not concerned with getting the approval of Black people.
There it is. Yeah, she's concerned about the people who, I can't remember what the exact wording was, but what it felt like she was saying was she's only speaking to people who agree with her. And if that's Black people, fine. If it's not, then it's fine too.
Yeah, it was kind of that. It was kind of that, right? Yeah, and I don't. What is that? Like
I think that saying the check is cleared is very simplistic
yeah,
because I don't think it is a monetary. I think eventually it's monetary. I feel like it leads to like being lucrative, but I think that I think it's more about people using social issues and the currency of social issues as their like spotlight. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like all
yeah,
these people who, like you said, who going to interrupt and da da da, like they know it's pointless. The performance is part of it. And I think it's for her, yeah, it's the performance of revolution, the performance of counterculture, the performance of, you know, all of these different things. And I think that she falls into that category because she's always been her entire career since the day I met her in Florida, 2002. Picture it. She's always been
yeah,
about self with the illusion of her success is all of ours.
yeah,
She's doing this for us. Like it's clearly benefits her only, but our joys in seeing her succeed is basically what it feels like.
yeah.
And
Performative,
that's all I'm going to say
performative.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you keep on tap dancing on this confrontating the beef, like how it
It wasn't a
started.
confrontation. It was not a confrontation. Anything is not a confrontation. But it happened, and I've had a long standing, oh, this bitch, since 2000, and I want to say 2002,
Uh-huh.
around 2002. I've had this, like, okay, all right, I see you. I see
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh. We're gonna get to the bottom of that story one day. Let's
One day.
keep teasing that until we might have her as a guest on the show. You never
No, we
know.
won't.
Y'all
No,
can
we
have
won't.
like a reckoning, like a
Mm-mm.
reconciling on that would be beautiful for the culture.
That would not happen. And the culture will have to live with that. That will
Oh,
never happen
oh
for.
man. Last week, we pre promoted. You had a conversation last week that is gonna air in the near future.
In the future. Yes, I got to speak to Kendra Lindsay, who I adore. And last week when Mike was out doing Hibret things with his friends, she and I had a conversation about everything. Hip hop. I think that day is when Drake's case got dismissed. So we were able to talk about
Oh
hip
God.
hop, aging as women in hip hop. God, we talked about everything. And I'm very, very excited for people to hear it because Kendra's amazing. I cannot get over it. Her what's it called? Midlife flyness, like her whole concept is I love it. I love her. I think she's fantastic. So in the near future, you will hear that.
I don't want to, I don't want to give anything away, but what I do want to say is it is so dope that like you didn't know her. Like you just found her on TikTok.
On TikTok.
And
Yeah.
I remember you talking about her maybe before we even started our show. And you sent me her, her handle and, looked at some videos like, oh, wow, she's so dope. Like I felt a kinship to her. Like, man, like she's talking our shit. And
Yeah.
to manifest a conversation with her in real life, I think that is like the dopest shit ever. I think that is
So
so,
fucking
so
dope.
cool.
So fucking dope.
Like that is
Yeah.
really, really, really cool. So I'm excited I haven't heard it all yet, just bits and pieces, but what I did hear, I just think it's really revolutionary to be having these kinds of conversations online. And, I know she does it. I know we do it. And, just bringing them together, I think it's so, so important because, and we were talking about this a little bit before too, just the idea of aging in hip hop is just so uncharted.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody really knows how to do it. I think we have some examples of how to do it well and some examples of when it doesn't go well. But I think the more people talking about it, the better. I just think it's dope for these conversations to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that when people say, "Oh, hip hop is 50," hip hop is 50, or I guess 51 now. I don't think people like really understand what that means because yes, it is still a very young genre, very young musical art form. But the people who grew up with it, there's a perspective, and Kendra says this a lot. There's a perspective that is necessary. Like you can't have conversations about Drake or about anything that's happening in rap or hip hop without the perspective of people who have grown up with it. On the TikTok algorithm, when you watch one thing for too long,
Mhm.
it sends you a whole bunch of other things. Randomly found this TikTok page that just does old like hip hop, like just like performances. Like
Mhm.
for a week straight, it was like Naughty by Nature live performances, different places. And this morning I saw it was Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh doing what was the song?
Lottie Dottie.
Not Lottie Dottie. There's another one.
Is that saying 6 minutes? Dougie Fresh are on? Is that the same one?
Is that Lottie Dottie? No. Can't, oh my God, I'm seeing that right. But it was I had never seen them perform it at that age. Like I've seen them do it like later, but
Mhm.
it was like it might have come out the week that they did it. And like Dougie Fresh had hair, like it was this whole thing. And like the people in the comments were like, oh, they're like, y'all don't understand.
And
You don't understand what it means to see this. You don't understand what it means to see these people that are like 50, 60s, in the 60s now as 20-year-old kids doing this song that is a classic song. Like you're
and we
seeing them perform it like probably the first time ever. Like you don't understand how important that is. And you don't understand how much you take for granted that you get to see your favorite performers perform.
yeah.
You
See,
don't know what a privilege that is.
right. And especially like I feel like that song, that them too, is even so much more important to highlight because like you might have experienced some of this, but I was a kid in New York when that song came out, when Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick came out, and to the age where,
The show,
the show,
the
yeah,
show,
the
the show.
show. And when it would
Yeah,
come on, how we would run to our tape decks to record it on the
yeah,
radio. And like
yeah,
they were, to me, for me in my age, they were the first superstars. And them two were the ones that it's such an important milestone in my childhood, specifically them two. It was them, Big Daddy Kane, and Biz Markie. Because on the
mm,
radio, those were the songs that they played over and over again. And in New York in the 80s, they weren't really playing hip hop on the radio like that. They had this was before Hot 97. They had one or two stations, 98.7 Kiss FM and WBLS. And
yeah,
98.7 played hip hop, like that kind of hip hop, from like 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Fridays or Saturdays. That's
yeah.
it.
Because
That's
you
it.
remember radio stations, their thing would be like no rap, no
No.
rap or hip hop, only da 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 da. Like that was a
Yeah.
thing. Like it was weird and special
Yeah.
for them to play it because that was a selling point for them. No rap, no hip hop.
Yep. They
Yeah.
would act, that was their presser. Like that was their
They would
like, no
advertise
rap.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
What
was
pissed me off, just and I want to go back to like hip hop, but I remember when WHUR was was notorious for no rap, no hip hop, no rap, no hip hop. And then
yes.
one day I'm sitting there and they're playing like Heavy D, and I was like, oh yeah, you have to because classic classic music right now, you cannot play classic black music and not include hip hop after a certain point.
Uh-huh.
You have to. And then it
Yeah.
was also like, all right, I guess we're old now that they're playing Heavy D. And
Right.
that's how like Heavy D, like my parents used to listen to like fucking Motown or whatever. It's like, okay,
You
all
know what's
right.
crazy? Wasn't it? Who was speaking of Heavy D and hip hop,
I love Heavy D.
the Michael Jack who Jam, Here Comes the Man.
That's the
Is
man,
that
hot
Heavy D?
damn. The people stand to the blood. Yeah.
So
Making
speaking
pick up chops with my man Michael Jackson. Smooth criminal, my man Maxon, relaxing. I love Heavy D.
so it's crazy. Is WHUR used to play that song without the rap. Y'all I'd be
Yeah.
like, yo, what's wrong
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah.
Like it's Heavy
That was what
D.
they would do. They would play song. They used to play fucking TLC and Cut Out Left Eye.
They sure did. They
They used to
really
do that
did.
all the fucking time. They would play a song that had a rap in it and they would just not play it. They would
I
not
re-
play the rap part.
I remember being a kid like, yo, okay, you can't. It's Heavy D. Like it's important to the song that he's in it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was
Let
hilarious.
me go even further. Do you remember Ralph Tresvant, Sensitivity?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
at the end, where he's like, "You need a man who feels like a gentleman. If anybody can fit the description, baby, I can." They used to cut that part
One,
off because he's rapping.
the one who tears the dance to himself completely. You got to do me. You need a man with sensitivity.
You need a man, not any man, warm and sensitive. That's what I can get. Oh,
Yo, I did not know they took that part out. That's
they took that
crazy.
part out. They took that
That's
part out.
crazy,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, I think it's I think what the Clips have done single-handedly is that's why when it's award season in a couple months, if they don't win every award that they're nominated for, there's a problem. Because what they've done and what they continue to do is they're showing a blueprint. They're showing a blueprint for how older MCs, and I think just older people in hip hop, can talk about their experiences, can, they can still rely on older procedures,
Mhm.
like how they were doing the sit down interviews and they were everywhere. They were on Rap Genius. They were
A rap.
doing, the full rollout. They were doing some of the new stuff and they went and sat down with, traditional radio people and their tour right after the album came out. All of it. I think it's like showing some of the old heads how they can still remain relevant and like how their music can sound too, right? Like I feel like there was trying to think of maybe in the mid 2010, like I feel like a lot of older rappers, I think Jay might have been a part of this crew too, that was trying to make their rap sound mature. They were like relying on, it might not have been as boom bappy. They might have been including like, Jay had all those songs with Homeboy from Coldplay. There's like these rock mashups, and I feel like what the Clips are showing, like, no, like you could double down, make the music super hard. You can still have heavy bass. You have intricate production, and your content is in line with your experiences. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's fine as long as it's authentic. And since then we've seen, Raekwon release an album that's really good. Ghostface has released an album that's really good. Who were we
Hold
just
on.
talking
Speaking of Ghostface, have you seen his son?
about? Oh yes.
Wait, hold on. I don't know how does he identify as a son? I don't remember now. No, he does. He does. He does.
I think
He's
he's
a
still
he.
his son.
Nigga can rap
He can really rap.
and he can
And sing.
sing.
And sing too. Yeah.
That nigga's
He's super
dope.
talented. He's super
He's
talented.
really, really talented. It reminded me of Boosie and his daughter, who's a lesbian, who out of all
Oh,
the kids that he's trying to like whatever, she's the talented one. But because she's gay, he's not pushing her. He's pushing her non-talented brother instead. But like, I just heard this his song "Dad and I"
yeah,
the other
yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I was like, Ghost. I mean, come on.
But I didn't know that. I remember, or thought I remember, Ghostface talking about his son like lovingly, like not like trying to sweep it under the rug, but also being honest, like, yeah, but like I'm working through it, right? But
I don't
the
remember
way the
that.
son was describing it is like, nah, he don't want shit to do with me.
Yeah,
But see, even that, I think it's like, who better, right, to help older generations navigate newer generations than rappers?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like to really
yeah.
put words behind, like, yeah, this is new. Like this is new for me. I think Marlon Wayans has a daughter, a son
Has a
that
trans
transitioned to
son.
a daughter.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
he has a trans son.
a trans son. So she
Yeah.
was a
Daughter.
daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Even like that, I think like, and I'm personally someone that, I was working on college campuses when like the LGBTQ movement really elevated, and I still fumble on, wait, is it a trans man, trans woman? Like, how do you, and I think like, rappers, MCs, poets, storytellers of our age have, a good opportunity to help us all navigate some of the, the nuances of it all, right?
Well, you know what? That's true. And I think that this is why I also get very weary of and frustrated with this idea that people are just supposed to know things and
Mm.
there's no room to stumble into it. Because I think about I'm thinking about Kendrick, my auntie is a man now, and
Yeah.
how he was roasted and like people will not forgive him for that song, as opposed to this is what it sounds like when you're stumbling into understanding. when you have to start from the I don't understand, but I accept, and then get into the words and the proper ways of talking and thinking about it. And I think not giving people room to stumble into it allows people to not want to take a step at all into it. And I don't think that that's the way that it should, but I don't think that that is helpful to anybody, because who better, like you said, than Ghostface, Stalin's own, to have this conversation and be clumsy and awkward and contradictory and uncomfortable until he gets to the point where he's able to talk about it. And I think Marlon Wayans is a perfect example, because I've seen the evolution in his conversation from when it was his daughter, then his daughter's a lesbian, then his daughter's transitioning. Like, I've seen how weird and how clumsy is the only way I can think about it, where you've seen him get better and better at it. And I think that we need to allow people to get better and better at these things, instead of pretending that they know everything and pretending that they understand and then flipping up later on because they never really truly understood. I'd rather people get it wrong and on their way to getting it right than having them just act like they've got it all. That I don't think is helpful.
Yeah, and I even think that's the case with so much of so many areas of, you know, different things that happen between generations, right? I think that there was a moment around the Me Too time frame, right, where there was a conversation happening on the Me Too issue on sexual assault. Women were having one conversation and men were having a completely different conversation. And, you know, as a man, you know, having these conversations, like I remember acknowledging like something's off here. Like, every woman is saying they understand Me Too from this perspective, like every single one. Not one was saying, I don't really get it. And every man was saying, I don't get it. Or, well, what about this? Or, well, you know, trying to like insert some nuance. Yeah, and getting defensive. And then, you know, and then that was followed by what started cancel culture for the most part, right? And so I just think we oftentimes miss these moments for people to be imperfect, right? And I think the people in culture that are able to elevate to different levels of success are the ones that publicly can make a mistake and rebound or acknowledge it, and, you know, and teach people that share different aspects of their identity how to maneuver, right? Like how to deal with it. And it's so often that we just miss those chances because everyone wants to be right and no one wants to look stupid. That's part of it too. Like, people don't want to, you know, look like they don't know. It's just unfortunate.
Well, I think, and I've been thinking about this in terms of the people who keep interrupting former Vice President Harris at her book signings and her talks. And I think that people also have a problem admitting when they're wrong, because what we've moved into this culture where if you admit that you were wrong once, you will never be able to ever not be wrong. You will always be forever reminded of something that somebody else thought that either you did or oh no, this is a better example because I saw this too. Do you remember when Simone Biles' husband said that he didn't know who she was? And people took that and like, just, he doesn't deserve her. She's settling. She just stand up, all that stuff. And then I remember thinking when I finally saw it, I was like, I didn't think he meant what everybody is taking that as. And then I spoke to my sister again, who used to work for the NFL. She's like, he didn't mean it like that. Like, anybody who knows any elite athlete who gets to the point where they're playing professionally, they're not sitting around watching the Olympics. They don't know shit except for whatever plays the coach gave them.
Exactly.
Like, unless she showed up in their book, it doesn't make sense when people only have the scope of their own frame of reference. They can't understand how anybody else wouldn't. And so because of that, there is a privilege in knowledge. There's a privilege in knowing certain things. I think that it also comes with people using knowledge as a superiority complex. You may be a millionaire, you may be famous, you may be beautiful, but I know more than you.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm better in some way. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's like, that's what
Absolutely.
people are unable to, all this thing about accountability, right? They want people to be held accountable. But what they really mean is, I don't want you to ever forget that thing that you did that I didn't like, because it makes me morally superior. I've
Right.
never made a mistake. I'm going to keep reminding you of whatever it is I think that you've done wrong, so that
Mm-hmm.
you can't get another job.
Always be, not always, oftentimes be on like gendered lines, right? Like of like some man says something or is perceived to say something that dismisses a woman and it's like attack. And then on the flip side too, Aisha Curry and what she's been in the media for the better of the last 2 to 3 years when it comes to comments that she made about being married and being a mom and being a wife, and conflicted, man. I'm conflicted. I understand how her comments can be taken out of context, right? I understand that. I understand what she's saying, right?
Absolutely.
I
Any
think it's
thinking person knows what she's saying.
I think it's asinine that the conversation that's happening, that people only think women go through this. Women aren't the only ones that like have second guesses about being married and having kids in their career. Like, so it's a relatable statement. It's easy to be misconstrued. I understand why she says it and why she's asked about it a lot in interviews. And also, I feel like on some level she should be more responsible with the narrative.
I think that yes, in that people are going to constantly and consistently, purposely misunderstand you,
Yeah.
because you are light skinned, you
Let's see.
are
Mm-hmm.
super rich,
Yeah.
you're married to a man who is beloved in his genre or sport or whatever, and also like top 5% of all time
Mm-hmm.
in said whatever.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be Savannah James and not
Yeah.
say anything at all, or say
Right.
it to your group chat. And I understand, say it to your group chat, but I also don't know what it is like to, since the age of 18, be with the same person and then
Yeah.
not expect them, and not be able to fathom the level of success or the ways in which they would eclipse whatever your thoughts and desires are. So,
Right.
because anything that she does is going to be related to him, and I think that's what her issue is. She's like, I don't know what my thing is. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what belongs to me outside of my husband. And they got together really, really young. And so there's a lot of pressure there, and people not understanding that it is okay to be regretful and wish you would have done things differently, and still be grateful and appreciative of where you are right now.
Yeah.
Be- can you imagine you're
Mm-hmm.
18, 19,
Yeah.
20, and you haven't even
I had no idea how many people I know knew him. Not just poets, not just people that I know that are in LA. Random people knew him. This woman was like, I saw him on Father's Day, and I said, Happy Father's Day. And just like random, not some of the, just saw him in Atlanta. Talked about her interaction, her brief interaction, and how like, he's like, hey sister, how you doing? So he takes on and he confirmed what it is that we loved about him, which was he was everybody. He was our brother. He was our cousin. He was everybody. He was family to us. And he was being remembered as family. There was also a thing where people kept trying to honor him and disparage the Cosby Show at the same time. And I said that it is impossible to do, because that's how we know him. What we learned of him and how we learned of him is from that. It has nothing to do with Bill Cosby. But because Bill Cosby is a fucking weirdo and has been, doesn't mean that what he created didn't impact our lives the way that it did. Because there was a time, every Thursday for 10 years, we were watching The Cosby Show. And all of the people our age who have decided to revise them. Like, I never liked The Cosby Show. I knew there was something. No, you didn't. You did watch The Cosby Show.
Cut it out.
You're doing this for
Cut
the
it out.
internet.
Yeah.
You're doing this for the internet. So going back to Hulk Hogan and audience chat, we're not removing Malcolm Jamal Warner from the conversation at all. I personally am having a hard time even trying to figure it out. So I'm trying to make it into a larger thing and I'm just trying to explain. Don't write me. I don't care. Hulk Hogan is was a fucking trash human being as far as the way that he is. Hulk Hogan was also in one of the cartoons I watch every Saturday. Was it? Oh shit! What was the name of that cartoon? It had him, Roddy Piper, the Marvelous Moolah.
Wasn't it just like the WrestleMania? Was it the WrestleMania cartoon? Was it WrestleMania?
I don't know if it was called WrestleMania, but we all have most of us. I'm not gonna say all. Most of us have a relationship to Hulk Hogan that existed as part of our childhood DNA and makeup. So the people who are over here excusing the fact that he's racist, and then the people who are denying the fact that he should matter at all are both operating from the same space of that's not reality. Do you know what I mean? Like it is okay. Absolutely. And I think especially at our age, our generation, we have to be able to say and acknowledge what affected us and how it affected us, or who was part of our childhood and what we remember, while also understanding what they've become. And I think that this need to either erase or overstate certain things is damaging because it misshapes historical context. Yeah, and I think that we're trying to rewrite the importance of things based on how we feel about them currently. And I'm not saying, again, he was not my favorite. He wasn't my favorite, but I understand where he fit in the landscape that was created. Like there was a point in the 80s when wrestling was the biggest thing in the world. Like it went from being like this niche thing that people didn't watch to like world wrestling. WWF was huge. That's important. That's part of whatever it is, whatever nostalgic memory that is part of cultural anthropology is all part of that. There's a reason why wrestling got so big at that time. There's something going on socio-politically that made that possible. That is all part of the conversation. And you can acknowledge that without having to excuse or deny. And that's the problem we're going to be running into. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And on some level, what a lot of folks are doing when it comes to the likes of, we could go down the line, R. Kelly, Kanye, Michael Jackson, the recently with Hulk Hogan and just Bill Cosby. Like there's countless examples. Side note, this is just Mike. I'm always extra aware when all or most of the examples are black men, but we'll digress. There's so many examples of men many times that, live some insanely negative, hurtful, deplorative, life outside of whatever they created, outside of their music, outside of their art, outside of their whatever, right? And denying the cultural relevance, to me, in most of those cases, is the same way that like the Trump administration is trying to cancel and remove all forms of Black history, any recognition that slavery was bad or that it wasn't what we all know it was. Like, we just can't erase what the truth is. The examples that I'm giving are kind of flipped, right? Where like the memory is positive. What the Trump is doing is trying to erase all of the negative implications of history. But history is history, right? Like, people made us feel the way that they felt, the way that we felt, right? Like, over an extended period of time. We can't go back and try to write, I never liked R. Kelly's music. You're a fucking liar. You did.
I never did. I never did.
If you say so. If you say so.
I honestly did.
If you never did. I found the video of you dancing to Step in the Name of Love. I
promise you didn't.
I'm just playing.
No, I promise. I didn't flinch because I know you didn't. I know how I felt about. You could have said Drake. I was like, yeah, I didn't flinch because I know you didn't. I've always dated that man. The first time I heard you remind me of my Jeep, I was like, all right, I'm out. I don't know who this person is, but I don't care. I'm out. And it's been up and stuck since then. Sorry, go ahead.
Something like, he said, my Jeep, something like my, whatever. Yeah, he was wild.
Like my,
but all
car
sound.
He said, you remind me of my Jeep. I want to ride something like. I
want to ride it.
Something like my car. I want to
roll it.
Something. It was the dumbest song I ever heard in my life. I liked him when he was a public announcement.
But he also did, I believe, I like vibe.
You got that vibe.
Hi, he's saying bye with his whole mouth wide open on the microphone. Anyway, but no, I mean, I just think, there does have to be a kind of double consciousness when it comes to culture and people, just people, because people are kind of horrible. Like there's so many aspects of people's being and their reality that a horrible person can create something really beautiful. So do we throw away the creation because the person is horrible? I think in some cases, yes. In some cases, you don't. And so all of that to say in relation to this conversation is that, those of us in that millennial range, that zennial, that 75 to 85, have had a really challenging time over the past decade, 15 years of, as we enter this new space of our adulthood, we're entering it without so many of the cultural references now versus what they meant to us 30 years ago are almost like flipped. It's like flipped upside down. And there's a conversation that you could define a generation based on the icons that passed away and how they passed away, right? So if you think about our parents and all of the politicians that were murdered live on TV, assassinations, and in the 70s you have all of the Jimi Hendrixes and the La Bambas. That's horrible, but like the Ricky Valens.
That was in 1953.
But like the age of those. What? 1953?
Not 53, but it was definitely in the 50s. It was not the 70s. And he was like 18 in the
But you get what I'm saying.
30.
Yeah, that was a good movie. But you get what I'm saying. Like, and then there, later as we became older, it's the Amy Winehouses, of course, and the Biggies and the Pacs and the Jackson, the Houston, like all of these iconic figures that are just that died in such tragic ways. I think it just has an impact on who we are as we become older.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree. I think that part of that, and again, it goes back to this theory that I know somebody's already had, but we were shocked by how they died. I didn't know that Prince was on drugs or that he was on opiates. I didn't know that Michael Jackson was. I didn't know that. I mean, we knew about Whitney, but we also didn't know about Whitney. Do you know what I mean? Like hers was a little bit more out there, but we believed, because we wanted to believe, that she had passed it, that she was okay, and she'd made her grand return. It didn't cross our minds that that wasn't the case because of who we knew her to be. George Michael, like all of these people that died the way that they did, we didn't know them to be like that. So it was a weird way of understanding. I'm thinking about it. I don't know what is more. I'm trying to figure out what would be more shocking at this point based on everything. Who died? Who would die just by old age? Like, who's growing old right now and doing so in a way that, and this goes back to what we're talking about, and doing so in a way that is correlated to their greatness. I'm thinking about Will Smith and what he's been doing recently. And he's not giving us permission to just love him as we've loved him. It's like he wants so much to still exist in our consciousness that he's fucking up. He's fucking up as far as I'm concerned. But it's like, he would have been somebody. Denzel. I guess Denzel is doing it calmly. I guess Denzel is he's
appropriately like winding down his career.
He's wrapping it up in a way that is by his choice, and he's deciding that he's going to be elder statesman. He's preparing us for him to be somebody else in this journey, right? As opposed to fighting, like he's not on steroids trying to like make us still think that he can, wrestle a helicopter. I don't know. I didn't watch that movie, but like he's doing so in a way that is graceful and worthy of the person that we have known him to be, right? Who else is doing that? Who else is doing that right now?
That's black. That's of like the culture.
That's black. That's of the culture.
Jay-Z. He's still relatively young.
Yeah, but Jay-Z is doing it. Jay-Z's a great example. Jay-Z's a fantastic example, actually.
Yeah. He's still creating on his own time in his own way.
Still cool.
Like, able to do.
Doesn't feel the need to compete with people who are 30 years younger than him.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jay's a good example. But
Beyonce's
look what we have to do to come up with.
But Beyonce's not that old though, so it's not. I don't even want to put Beyonce in there.
what we have to do to come up with an example. Like, we have to be like, is there anybody? You know what I was just thinking of? And we don't want this to be morbid, but just to show like the power of these cultural icons is Pee Wee Herman. Yo, my relationship with Pee Wee Herman. Are you not familiar with Pee Wee Herman? Remember?
I know who he is. I just was like, did he? I thought he already died. Sorry.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah,
but I
you were
just
saying
saw.
he was
I
still
just saw
alive,
his,
and I was like, wait, okay.
No, I just saw his documentary on HBO on Max. Gotta watch it. It's absolutely fascinating. But the big three of me growing up: Michael Jackson, Pee Wee Herman, Hulk Hogan.
Damn.
I mean, like, just the big three in terms of like cultural influence of like entertainment, music, just like silly kid shit, like being a kid. Like, those three embodied my childhood. And so it was like watching Pee Wee's documentary and him talking about, you know, his life and growing up. And he was recording it as he was dying, but only he knew he was dying. The producer and the director didn't know. So it's phenomenal. It's just a really, really dope documentary. But again, just like, you know, he was in his 60s, I believe, when he passed. But still, yeah, we just don't see a lot of examples, especially of Black folks, of what it means to get old with grace and still have all your dignity and still, you know, be able to create the way that you want to. It's just great. Or not.
Andre 3000.
Or not.
3000. Andre 3000. Okay.
That's a good example.
I'm trying to think.
That's a good example. And I'm feverishly finding, for the people that are listening,
I wanted to talk about the Ralph Lauren Oak Bluffs things. I wanted to talk about the supply thing. I wanted to talk about the Cold Spray,
we can still talk about
backpacks or whatever. We're already an hour in though.
We're an hour. Do we want to record and split, or do we just want to save it for next week?
I feel like it'll be irrelevant next week.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm good. I have time.
Okay. Do you know the?
But you start the Ralph Lauren thing. Yeah, I've been intentionally trying not to pay attention there because I just didn't like where I knew it was going to go. Because as soon as every year there's like some sort of big fashion house that does something related to Black people that people either love or they're enraged over. And I just didn't feel like my soul can take that right now.
Yeah.
But filming in, I kind of have an understanding. But while you do that, I'm going to find...
But this one was a little bit. This thing was a little bit different because of how people reacted. And both, I was surprised at how many people were against it and the way that they were against it. But even more surprised by the people who were like, "No, you're not going to do this with this. This is what this means." Because a lot of people were being very clear about the historical significance and the just the presence of the people that Ralph Lauren was targeting. And I was very concerned by people who are dismissive of things by calling them elitist without going into historical context and why they exist. Like the reason why Black people at the Vineyard are a thing. Or how... Okay, actually, let me go back. I've been of the mind and have been this way for a minute, which is that you cannot compare Black wealth with white wealth. Meaning that when it comes to how the majority of white billionaires were created, it was on the backs of slavery. It was on the backs of exploiting workers. It was on the backs of blood diamonds. You know what I mean? Like there are these ways that were very clearly exploitative that created these white billionaires. I don't think, in America, I'll say, in America, I don't think that Black wealthy people have that same lineage or similar lineage or something to that effect. Like they exist for another reason. I'm not saying that there wasn't damage done at some point to obtain and maintain the wealth, but not to the degree of an Amazon not paying people or not letting people have bathroom breaks, or Elon Musk, whose family exploited Black South African miners to get their money. I'm not going to put Jay-Z being a billionaire in that same category. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. I think that it's a false equivalency. There can be conversations about wealth and wealth disparity and class disparity. We can talk about that all day long, but not if you're going to be disingenuous and act like all of these things or all of the money was created in the same way or from the same root. When somebody says, when people when people, I forget how to say this, people just be jealous. People be jealous, and they think that there are certain things about their lives, the choices that they've made that should give them access to the exact same places. Like, you can't be black and have access to something, and I'm black and I can't have access to it. There's something wrong with it then, right? I'm okay with white people being elite and white, but they're white. I can't do that anyway. But y'all need to let me into the vineyard. I'm not going to say how badly I want to be included, so I'm going to make it about poor people. You're excluding poor people from this. And if poor people can enjoy it, then nobody should. You don't care about them. Poor people, people in that demographic that they claim to be advocating for, are not thinking about the vineyard. They're not thinking about the vineyard. Right. And instead of saying, why am I not part of this? I want to know more about this. Because of the way the internet works, you have to make everything, you have to make the personal political in a way that completely divorces it from the reality of the situation. So now you're saying, did you see the guy who said that black people's relationship to polo is through stealing it? Did you see that?
Who said that? No. Who said that?
This person was talking.
Not somebody black.
Oh my God, yes, of course, 100% black. 100%
what?
Black.
No, I missed that. I missed that.
He was saying,
wow.
I'll send it to you. He was saying that he was against the Ralph Lauren thing because it didn't have streetwear, or I'm paraphrasing, didn't have streetwear, and black people are the people who made polo famous. And the way that they got it was through stealing and boosting culture.
Wow.
I'm stuttering because it was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Fly Science sent it to me, and she and I had a whole conversation via voice notes about how people, rather than saying that they don't understand or don't have a connection to something, will come up with reasons. And the reason being
to hate on it.
For him to say our connection and our shared understanding comes from, he said us, we stole it. We stole polo. That's how polo got big.
That's
Ralph
wild.
Lauren,
Ralph
Lauren and then polo shirts, not the same thing. Not the same thing. And the people who buy Ralph Lauren purple label are still and always will be buying it. Those are the people that those clothes are for. You think $10,000 is too expensive for a sweater? Okay, it's not your sweater. You're not the demographic of sweater buyers. It's not for you, and that should be okay. I'm not going to look at like a Birkin bag and be like, they should be cheaper. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And trying to make it for me. No, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No. I think so much of it boils down to, you said jealousy, right? I feel like it. Did you say that? Is that the word you used? Yeah. There's a word that's like more insidious than that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's jealousy and shame. It might be envy. It might be like, if I can't have it,
it shouldn't exist.
Then the proverbial, we can't even acknowledge it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just, it's such a, I wonder if other cultures go through this. I'm assuming they do. I think on some level it's a human thing, but so much of the human experience is exacerbated by our blackness and our some of the unique experiences that a lot of us think we share. That's the part that's why this was so frustrating to me, is that the people that are talking about like, oh, this is not for poor people. You're not poor, sir.
Exactly.
You're middle class. You don't understand. Like, I think that the commodification, that's too much. The commodification, if that's the right word, of poorness and like the marketability of like what people think it is to be poor is so far from what actual poorness is.
And what poor people want or what they're actually concerned about.
Right. And like, it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of projecting in a lot of the cultural conversations that we're having. I felt part of what I was pissed off about with the battle is that people weren't holistically listening to the music. They were projecting their feelings about Kendrick or Drake onto a conversation about culture, which I just think is so dangerous. And that's kind of what I felt when I kind of saw the introduction to the this polo conversation. Is like, people are downing Jack and Jill and all these Black Elite D9 and all these things. Like, you don't have Like, because why? Like, what
It
is this coming
doesn't.
from? Is it, you know what I'm saying?
It's I'm stuttering because it's so like I'm not D9. I've never pledged anything, wasn't interested, didn't really understand it. Like I just didn't. But I understand why it exists. Like I understand why it's important. I understand historically why it's important. I don't have to be involved to understand why it's important, and I don't have to disparage its existence because of that. And I think that what people are doing is people keep making their personal opinions political and framing things that are very internal into these socio political conversations that are so much grander and so much bigger than the actual thing, which is what do you feel about this? And why are you feeling this way about it? Instead of making it about everybody should feel about this, like the same thing. Because when I was bringing up like the demographic that a lot of these people claim to be advocating for are not concerned with this. They're not concerned with what's going on at the vineyard. They're not concerned with it. You're concerned with it, and in order to make sure that it is self-righteous, you're saying you're speaking for people who do not need to be spoken for, who are not interested in being spoken for. And that's the same way I feel, and this is going to be controversial, I don't give a fuck. Respectability politics, that term and that concept fucked us up. It fucked us up completely because it completely erased what has always been true of black people in the diaspora. We know how to put that shit on. You could be a coal miner and make 2 cents a minute, or I don't know, whatever, and make no money. But when it was time to get clean and go somewhere, black people knew how to do that.
Yeah.
They knew how to get dressed. They knew how to tuck in their shirt. They knew how to wear their shit, right? It would not look like a Rockefeller, but it would look like some black people who knew how to put some shit on. It was never about the money. It was about how you did it. We were always about making sure that people knew who we were and that we had people. My mom would always be like, don't leave this house looking like nobody loves you, which means put some clothes on, change your shirt, comb your hair, or whatever it meant at the time.
Try to match.
Yeah. And when you get there, don't act like a fool. But now people are using respectability politics to justify standing on a table in a restaurant and shaking ass. And if you say you can't do that or you shouldn't do that, oh, that's respectability politics. No! Don't be a fucking idiot in public with people around. But then what they do is like, oh, so you're trying to say that so-and-so from the pink houses isn't allowed at your restaurant? So-and-so from the pink houses would not be going to the restaurant and shaking ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I making sense? It drives me absolutely crazy. No. It drives me absolutely crazy the way that people have weaponized respectability politics in order to advocate for a group of people who would not want that for themselves.
And it demonstrates like a selfishness that I think is a byproduct of, and I don't know about you, Bossy, but I see, you talk about like generational blocks, right? The generation where I see this coming from, like this respectability, this kind of like aggrandizing, I mix up words, like, but like this delusions of grandeur, like for real, is the generation right younger than us.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
The square millennials, like the folks that are in
100%.
pure millennials, it's just like a little judgy, like a little like coming from. It's just a really,
they're puritanical and evangelistic in what they claim to be community-based thinking when it's community-based judgment. That's what it is.
And it's not community-based thinking, community-based judgment, but it's lacking the community.
God, yes.
My judgment. It's my experience and maybe the experience of my 4 friends that I met, and it is projecting this is the reality for everybody that has this same identity. That is so dangerous to me. And we said this already 2 or 3 times in this episode, and I think there might be something here, right? We're in a time where we're seeing a presidential administration that is operating just like what we're talking about right now, right? So it's like these 2 dichotomized, what appear to be dichotomized perspectives and ways of being, but they're really the same.
The tax
It's
cuts are
really the
insane.
same. The same shit we hate about Trump and what the administration is doing. Just saying shit and making it true. You talking, minimizing history, taking singular experiences and making them whole. Like, oh, all people feel this way.
Destroying things
It's the
that they
same
think
shit
that shouldn't exist.
right. It's the same shit. And so, I mean, I just, this is where I think, again, another full circle conversation. This is where I think us, the collective us, can provide some voice and some direction in self-correction or riding the ship a little bit and speaking up in these moments like, well, not necessarily, right? Like, it doesn't have, like, not all black people, like, or, not all, and calling things out for what they are. And we have the skin to be like, I don't care if you hate me or try to cancel me or, like that. What the fuck does that mean? Like, I was a latchkey kid. Like, this shit don't mean nothing. So you could tell, like, people don't read. They don't have a context of history. They don't have, like, and I'm not talking, like, deep history, just, like, surface level history. Like how governments work, how taxes operate, how your neighborhood taxes supports the police and the school system. Like, people just don't have a general understanding of, like, how shit works. I don't know.
Or just
that might be it.
Or their historical references are so shallow that they don't go beyond processing things that happened historically from the lens that they've created today. Like, I have to go back to respectability politics because I've been increasingly found it so dangerous and infuriating because they'll use like the civil rights movement and they'll say, well, they were getting hosed down and food thrown on them and they had suits on. They didn't respect them because of their suits. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And just going back to the whole thing where it's like, you want to be invited to the vineyard, or no, you want to be able to go. Not invited. You want to be able to go. There are rules and codes of conduct, and people who we don't do this here, and you can't be like, well, I can do this here because I have the right to do this here. That's not how it works over there. That's not how it works. It's not how it works anywhere except for on the internet. On the internet is the only place where you think you can say, I don't owe anybody politeness. I don't need to speak to you when I walk into a room. I don't need to answer my coworker's question about how my weekend went. And also I should be getting promoted often. What are you talking about?
Right. I need to manage more people.
I need to manage more people from home because I don't want
people the last week and a half, and it's clear the folks that, like, really care and have studied and have a perspective of that and the people that don't.
Did you see my TikTok?
No, I couldn't get on it. Social media has been like
it's been a shit show.
But
I've been not interesting different things. But my TikTok yesterday, and I said it really quickly, and then I had to come in and, like, explain and, like, clarify and go more into depth because it was fucking ridiculous. I said that where we are now is a direct line from Obama being president and George Zimmerman being acquitted of killing Trayvon Martin. Those two were the inciting. What I said was Obama was the reason and Trayvon was the permission. That's when, like, Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, the way that they handled Trayvon, all of a sudden they were, like, okay with murder, and they were making fun of him and wearing hoodies and holding Skittles and celebrating this, like, random person. Like, it wasn't like a police shooting or police killing. It was a random man that killed a 17-year-old child. And all of a sudden, white Republicans were on his side. I was like, wait, what is happening here? And I noted that years ago. But what I was saying is that's when they realized they could get away with it. It's whatever it is. We had Mike Brown, we had Breonna Taylor, we had Sandra Bland, we had Tamir Rice, who was 12 years old, and they tried to vilify this 12-year-old who was just outside playing. I knew something was coming. And so where we are right now with people openly celebrating mourning and trying to whitewash this person, it's not even about mourning this person. It's about how ready they were to start a war over it. With no information, with no facts. They didn't know who did it. They were already, they didn't know anything, but they were ready to kill some black people over it.
They really were.
HBCUs had to lock down because of it. Again, we don't have to talk right now, but like that is it's a direct line. And anybody who knows pattern recognition,
Yeah.
anybody who's able to your point, contextualize things. Because what I was saying, what people were saying was like, oh no, it went back since Brown and Board of Education. And then somebody else was like, so you just noticed that white people are racist. They've been like this. I was like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, my God, I didn't know racism existed. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what we are experiencing is a very particular,
It's so
specific, yeah, it's different, specific. It is something else. And that something else was put into play when Obama became president, and the threat of a black president, and the fear that a black president was going to treat white people like white people treat black people. And then on top of that, they've been told and telling themselves that they're the superior race. And for the dawn of the United States, it has been only white men that are president. And now there's a black person. So what does that say about me if I couldn't become president and this person that I think is lesser than me can?
right.
And it's the same thing. We're going to talk about it. Meghan Markle is part of this. TikTok is all part of that line. The TikTok influencers and even Taylor Swift is part of that line. Listen, it's not even in my mind. I was like, is this a conspiracy theory? I didn't know. It's pattern recognition.
Oh,
It's
it's right
understanding.
there.
It's understanding how cause and effect works. It's understanding like historical significance and not just falling into this immediate like I was about to use woke as a pejorative, and that's not what I meant. But like this leftist is like everybody's terrible and it all sucks and burn it all down. It's like you have to understand what is actually happening and what you're actually trying to burn down, because what you're trying to burn down, they've already rebuilt someplace else.
Yo, there have been times like sometimes when I'm like overwhelmed with thought, it's like I'm trying to think of when it's happened before, but it's like you see something, and I feel like there's certain people that can feel the pattern before they can see it and put a word and even explain it. And there have been so many times like this week where I just been like, yo, like there's no other word that can describe it. I'm like, I don't want to like minimize like what is happening right now. Right. And, I've heard, and I knew we were going to talk about this today. I text you like seconds after, like, yo, we need a special episode right now. And I was like, fuck that. Never mind.
I'm glad we didn't, because I didn't know what was going on. I was so confused, but
me too. I got caught up in the moment. And then I was like, wait a minute, let's see a couple days how things start to come together or fall apart. And what I noticed, this is another pattern. And right now I have like literally, have you ever seen Minority Report?
I know. Is it Tom Cruise? I thought it was a TV show. I know of it. I know what you're about to say. I know what you're about to say.
And with Minority Report, they have the scenes where there's like all these scenes happening on a board, and there's literally someone like trying to put the scenes together, like move a scene over here, move it. Okay, turn that around, move it here, right? And I feel like I have like 6 different patterns in my brain right now. 6 things that I was like, oh, yeah, I could have told you that was going to happen. Or, oh, that was a surprise. Like that's some new shit. And it's so much things that look like old shit, but it's new ways of terror. It's new ways of, it's like elevating racism. It's fucking insidious.
It's modernizing it.
It really is.
Updating the software.
Yo. That's why I was like, a couple times I was like, yo, like, does anyone see like the moment after everything happened, you know who I found out about this? My son, Ellington, texted me. Yo, and now listen, typical college kid he is. I don't think we've ever texted about news. Nothing has ever happened. I'm like, yo, he hit me up like, yo, mom, both of us on the group text. So I was like, why is he texting in the middle of the day? Like, what's going on? Yo, did you see about that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Open my phone and it's like it's a murder scene on my phone. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yo, okay. So I knew there was something about him texting me that was insightful into this whole story and how the youth are connected to
Much about this
this
shit. Oh my
this
God.
differently. Like it's a different level of engagement because I feel like with who you mentioned before with Trayvon and Mike Brown and Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor, it was news. So news is tailored to, middle-aged folks. Like you turn on the news. I was getting all of this from kids. So when I went on Instagram and I saw all of his friends that I'm friends with because, on Instagram, because, I was taking them across the country and they're my, on my son's team and I'm seeing what they're posting. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this? What is going on? So, I mean,
No, I had the same. I did not. I barely knew who this person was. Like I didn't like. I'd seen the clips of Jubilee when he's like, arguing with people or like debating people or whatever. The same thing that Amanda Seales did, but like for the other side.
yes,
That's what I saw.
yes,
And I was
yes,
like, this is just some guy. I mean, it's sad. Like, sorry that you got shot in the neck or whatever, but like, sorry to that man. Like, and I was really confused. I was in 3 group chats. Like, no, what is happening right now? Who
right.
is this person?
Yeah,
Like, who is he beyond what we know about him? Because the fact that the president announced it, the fact that immediately, without any thought, immediately it was a hero's reception.
Yeah.
Or not reception, honor, whatever. All the white people crashing out talking about, I'm so angry right now. They don't know what they just did. And I'm like,
they were crashing.
What did they just
the
Right.
fuck?
I was like, what did they just do? In my mind, he's just some guy. Sorry that he got shot, but there is just some guy in my mind, right?
Right.
And it was so confusing how people responded to it that I knew that there was something going on. And I immediately thought about George Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse and all of these people that were murderers or who 20 years ago you weren't allowed to like celebrate or laud in any way. And I was like, okay, he didn't do it. He didn't do it to himself, but there's a reason why they're celebrating this man. There's a reason why they're all in shambles. There's a reason why the president is flying him out on presidential planes. Why the flags are being flown at half mast and he refused to do it when Jimmy Carter, a former president, did. And then I started hearing all the things that he said about Black people. And I started hearing about all the things he said about women and that he was connected to Project 2025. I was like, oh,
there's a word for it, like not red herring. Is that what it is?
Straw man?
A euphemism. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, Babasi, I'm telling you, I don't know. No. I feel like their reaction wasn't fake. Because at first I was like, oh, nah, they cap it. They not really that sad. But I was like, no, these white niggas is angry as fuck. Right?
They are livid. They're angry. Yeah.
Like the first clip I saw was some politician, white woman, who was like, the Democrats are gonna pay. And I'm like, yo, what happened?
They own this. The president was tweeting the same immediately. It's the leftists. They did it.
I was like, you know what this is? This sounds like they setting us up. Yeah. This is a setup. This whole shit. The whole shit.
Give me a reason. This is the reason. Let's go.
This is the reason. So it made me think, of course, it's like, okay, man's got shot. And my initial feeling, and there's still a little bit of this there. My initial thought was like, oh, he's a sacrificial lamb. Like they set him up. They did this. But then I was like, no, because they're really angry. It doesn't look like fake anger. It looks like real anger.
But going back to what you said, as soon as they said that he was shot from 200 feet or whatever, and it was a kill shot, basically, I was like, a leftist didn't do that.
Yeah.
Immediately. I was like, what are y'all why are y'all crashing out? It's very clear, but they don't think about it in that way. They don't think about like the logistics of, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. It just.
No, I mean, I think all of those things, I was like, oh, they sacrificed him to start a war.
That's what I thought.
Like there was no, this is gut instinct, right? It happened. I saw her response. I was like, oh shit, tomorrow's September 11th. This is their September 11th. This is another September 11th. For September 11th, people have all sorts of theories about, it was orchestrated, it was inside job, all that. But we know that as a result of those towers coming down, we went to war the next day. Like 2 days later, they had planes, B-52s flying over Iraq. And I was like, they're about to fly B-52s, whether figuratively or literally, at Black people. Like, this is their B-50. Like, this is the moment they're like, oh, okay, here's the reason. We got a reason now.
Yeah, because think about it this way. They have ICE to randomly throw people in the van and take them away. They know they can't do that with Black people because Black people are citizens of the United, well, not Black people, but you know what I'm saying, like citizens in whatever. What better way to have permission to racially profile and throw people in the van like they're doing with ICE than saying, oh, it's a security risk. It's a security measure. This is how they're getting, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It sounds fucking like an episode of Scandal, but there's always something. There's always a reason for the things that I don't know if they no, I don't think that it's that because of the guy who did it. Because have you learned about the groupers and groypers and all this shit?
Yo, my homeboy just sent me something this morning. I was literally looking at the screen like, what? This is crazy. I don't think, here's the part two. It's so layered. There's so many layers of culture involved in this, right? American culture, white nationalists, Christian.
Oh God, the Christians.
Oh my God. So I was thinking at one point that it was, and on some level, I still think this. It's a reason to go after Black people, right? But then I was like, I don't know if it's Black people that they want to go after. I don't think they're racially profiling. I think they are thought profiling. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like they're thinking like, if you have a thought about doing something like this, or if you align thoughtfully, with your thoughts, and on some level, you think this shit is okay, we're going to come after you. And it reminded me of Minority Report. Minority Report was all about, like, they were trying to stop crime before it happened. They had these beings or whatever. I don't remember the full details, but they had these beings that could predict if someone was going to commit a crime. And they were able to, with your eyes, they were able to do all this shit. It was like, so go back and watch Minority Report. I'm going to go back and watch it this week. But I feel like they are trying to insert as many different identities that they think would align with someone that would support his murder. So of course they threw out Black. So that's why HBCUs were shut down and kids couldn't even go to class, which I think is fucking crazy. But from the jump, why are they what does LGBTQ have to do with shit? From the beginning, like they said there was something on the bullet that said trans. And I was like, huh? What?
Which is another ridiculous thing. He wrote on the bullet, "Catch this fascist." What are you talking about?
Are you serious?
What are you talking
about?
Are you
kidding me? And they said there were 4 cases. I don't know nothing about guns. We couldn't have guns in New York. That just wasn't a thing. So all y'all from Central, Midwest, like, tell me what's up. But they said that there were like 4 casings, but there was only 1 shot. So what are they talking about? I could be completely ignorant. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they found a box of shells. I don't know. They're just like, they're inserting all this stuff into the media. Well, he had a trans roommate that he was romantically involved with.
Everything that could upset some facet of the people that they're trying to reach. The fact that he was a good Christian man that was gunned down, got the Christians on your side immediately.
Right. You got that. His dad turned him in. Okay. Wrap my mind around that. I don't know, maybe. Okay, let's say his dad was a sheriff and maybe he's holier than thou. He was like, to bring him in, they contacted a youth pastor? What are we talking? So the youth pastor was able to bring him in and the father sheriff was not. Okay, it's just all of it is.
I haven't heard about the shooter since.
Right.
Like not. I don't even mean since. It's a conspiracy. I mean the way that they were ready to go to war hours, minutes after this happened, and had a profile in their minds already drawn up. It was going to be a trans, a Black trans atheist. Like everything that they become afraid of and they hate. Yeah. And the thing is, it also showed me how fucking gullible and stupid like these January 6ers are, and that's the group that I'm lumping them in. You're
Yeah.
so dumb. Like you're being played for a fiddle because
Right.
yes, I even if I don't think it's like a conspiracy, but they're using it to further their agenda. They knew immediately, the wife knew immediately, everybody knew immediately to use it to further their agenda
Yeah.
before the dust settled, before the blood stopped.
The only person that seems to be really hurt about this is Candace Owens. I don't know if you've seen.
I don't pay any attention to
Posted
her.
like tribute videos. His wife, yo, it's too much. His wife came on the press conference after the next day or whatever, and you know evil when you see it, right? Like you know when you look into the face of someone that has a black heart. And I don't know nothing from nothing. I'm just going by the patterns of things that I've seen. And when she was on the screen, it gave me chills because I was like, this motherfucker right here? Oh yeah, she will pour acid on someone if the thought came into her mind, right? There was no, I didn't see the whole thing. Maybe there was, but there was no like, I'm going to miss my husband and, I'm sad, there were tears, but it was, we are going to get everyone back who did this shit. Like, if she wanted to, she's like, I will kill every one of you motherfuckers out there. Like, that's the energy that was beaming off of the screen. Which then we live in this country. It's nothing to make a nigga kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wanted him to die. When he died, it's like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, damn, that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
It was the response that made people like stand at attention.
Right.
It was the response, not the guy. Exactly.
Because we're now the black folks that are like us that are connecting and learning, and we're seeing these clips now. We're like, oh, he died? Oh, okay. I mean, like, damn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to be crystal clear in my perspective. Black folks that are in this country that operate within white supremacy all day, every day, are not surprised by those takes. We've argued with those takes. We've seen those takes on Twitter. That's why everybody left Twitter to go to Blue Sky. We didn't try to kill Elon Musk. We just like, damn, I'm gonna just go over here. You know what I'm saying? That is what
be murdering.
We don't be murdering for shit like that because that's
murdering.
That's everyday racism. That's the racism we grew up. No, I just think that I think the narrative for Kanye, for what we're talking about right now, I feel like the conversation that we've been chatting about on text with Gucci.
Let's
I
bring
think
that
the evolution of how folks are talking about mental health and not just like depression or not just, feeling down. I think that what I'm reading in the comment section under how Gucci's wife has placed like some very specific behaviors that are tied to Gucci's diagnosis, I see people like, damn, it's like that. And it's like, yeah, nigga, it is like that. Like, and people have been showcasing what it is. And I think the one line that she said that I think went under the radar a little bit is she said that both of them, Gucci and her, can tell when other artists are going through it by small things that they do, by, that they see. And she wants to reach out, but she doesn't want to like a fan. Like that revelation, I think, is going to change some things for how Black folks look at mental health and some of the extreme aspects of mental health that we've written off as, oh, they're crazy, or Kanye's being Kanye again. There was everything that he was saying that he goes through, and how his wife was explaining what he goes through. It was a playbook for what we've seen Kanye West go through for the past 10 years. That was, essentially started by, when his mom passed away. Like there's a moment. Yeah. Absolutely. When everybody was saying like, oh, this is happening because his mom passed away. It's like, yeah, I mean, that might have, might of course play into it, but there's other stuff going on here too, right? Like, and they've been going on in front of our face since the Good Life, since Kanye
College
first came
Dropout,
out.
to be quite
but
honest.
I also think that I think a lot of how we are talking about Tyler can be a roadmap for how we talk about mental health, how we talk about celebrity, how we talk about fame, and how we talk about change in the Black community and Black culture and how we digest social media. I think it's all related. And I hope that people are able to see when the same way we were having the conversation about plants, Abasi and I were having a text conversation about like some of the plants, like artists that have been planted into the culture to create engagement and so on and so forth. I think that there are plants, like cultural ideologies that are planted in different corners of social media that are there only to create confusion.
I agree with that.
And
That's
I
what I
think
think.
the plants are created by the same people. I think the industry plants and the cultural collective thought plants are a part of the same insidious body of millionaires and billionaires that are trying to move people. That's real, that's real, Minority Report of me, but
Very. Because the thing,
it's all too
a few points where I disagree. The one point is that I don't think that industry plants are inherently negative. I just think they give a boost. I just think they position people to be successful in a way that would get them lost in like the indie circles, if not. So that's a lot of people have been playing it. Going back to like pre-Motown, industry plants have existed. I have a whole theory on that. But going back to Gucci Mane, I remember when it first came out, all of the things that his wife said that she did for him. Like she said, I make sure he eats, I make sure this, I make sure that. And at the time, the conversation was like, oh, he's a grown man. I wish I would marry somebody to be their mother and like all of this. And then when you find out that she was doing this in order to create safety for his mental health, the conversation should be different. But time and time again, we go after and we go off of our initial thought. And when more information is added, the initial thought still doesn't shift or change, because the conversation now should be about mental health and what it is that we see and how it is that we, instead of this idea, I think also, and I think that people's views on wealth do this too. Oh, they're rich, they shouldn't. Oh, they're rich, I don't care if. As opposed to mental illness does not care what's in your bank account. It really doesn't. I'm also a quote unquote mental illness whisperer. I can tell by how somebody's tweeting or speaking or what have you that they are not okay mentally. Nicki Minaj is not okay mentally. And people refuse. They say that she's on drugs, probably self-medicating, probably. But like rather than really say, okay, she's not okay, she's not well, I wonder what can happen now. The fact that people probably don't feel comfortable reaching out to her the same way they don't feel comfortable reaching out to Kanye. But the harm, I guess, and I'm starting to really hate that word, the harm of ignoring that is that it gives people who don't have the luxury of the money or the luxury of the fame to sort of slip through the cracks as well. And that is always going to be the issue. Like when you said that this thing with Gucci should absolutely change the conversation around mental health. Kanye should have changed, and it didn't. Lauren should have changed it, and she didn't. People are not going to want to engage in any of this from people that they think should be better off. And so they're not going to give them permission to not be better off because of all of these things that we've decided make people. Can't say anything. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. I mean, I know for me, I'm not going to say I'm just being more aware of what I'm digesting online. And I'm really genuinely trying to wean myself off of. I wrote a piece at the beginning of the year, maybe, and it was just basically like rules of engagement for Black people online. And my general thought is, regardless of whether I agree or disagree with someone's take or content or whatever it might be, I'm just not going to badmouth Black people online.
Yeah.
I think that's the part of what I think the internet is fueled off of. And we're back.
It wasn't my fault this time.
Technical difficulties. See, the algorithms heard us talking about Black people and they were like, nope, shut it down.
Yeah. I was about to say you were being a conspiracy theorist, but now I believe it.
I was definitely getting into my conspiracy theory bag.
It's like, I agree with you. Like, I'm here with you. And then you go, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Stay right here.
Yeah. And maybe that's That's real because I think that it's like these observations that seem that seem very real to me, but I don't know what it's for. I don't know. I don't know what's the ramification of
Mm.
what seems to be very obvious. It seems to be very obvious that Black people are being used when it comes to social media, when it comes to being online. But is it just like a repeating cycle? Is it just like, is it just for shits and giggles, or is it for something more nefarious? I think it's for something more nefarious. And I think that it's the COINTELPRO. It's COINTELPRO of the modern times. It's all online.
But COINTELPRO had I think this is where, going back to Nikki, like we talked about, she is absolutely right that these new rap girls were created to replace her. But that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's the cycle of entertainment. No one's supposed to last that long. It's been anomalies that have lasted as long as they have when you're not a Beyonce or now a Kendrick or, all of that. So she is correct. But then she's the reason why is where she goes off the rails. She's like, and they're trying to stop me and they're trying to kill me and da 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 da. And she goes into that. Like, no, you're right here. But the why isn't lining up, or the how isn't lining up. So that's where it is, where I feel like I agree with you. I just don't know what the reason would be. Like, yes, nefarious, but to what end? I think that when it comes to like political movements, I see to what end. It fractures things and it makes it so that we don't move. But when it comes to like entertainment, I don't know what the reason is, except for us just to be mad at each other and yelling at each other.
Yes.
But what end though? Like,
I think that's it. I think, okay. You put the nail on the head. I think that is it. I think it's to cause confusion, to cause misalignment, so that there is less of a collective voice, right? So that an Amanda Seales can say, can talk about Palestine in reference to Kamala and lead to folks questioning their vote. And people be like, see, I told you. Like, it's just like there's less unification. And of course, Black people are not a monolith. We know that there's differences of opinions and experiences dating back forever, right? But also, I think that they've seen glimpses of when Black people are aligned. And it's like, we don't want that. And we want men to be questioning women. We want women to be questioning men. We want there to be some infighting. We want there to be this confusion because they don't want the world that Deontay Kyle is proposing. Like, they don't want an alignment of Black critical thought, even if the thoughts aren't aligned, even if the thoughts aren't agreeing. There is something about creating a dialogue, and you see now that Deontay Kyle is the Antichrist. Have you seen this?
mm-hmm.
And it's like, who would say that? And I get it, people don't agree with him. He said some things about Christianity. Got that. But it's like inserting the way that people are disagreeing causes us to question, or causes some people to question, like, dang, should I be following Deontay Kyle? I don't know, right? It just creates this like cycle of confusion that I think there is enough evidence to show that we are at our weakest when we are beefing with each other. That's how they can come in and kill our leaders. That's how they can come in and redline our communities. That's how they can come in and remove diversity programs from predominantly white institutions when we're disagreeing.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
It's like it's the art of war. We talked about this, I think, in our first episode, right?
Yeah.
One of our first episodes that we talked about. One of the rules of engagement, and not rules of engagement, one of the war strategies, right, that they used to talk about in Kuwait and Iran and Iraq, and even when they were trying to get Gaddafi.
Libya?
Yeah, Libya. No, Manuel Noriega, right?
No, Nicaragua.
And they would use music. They would take loud music and sounds and like frequencies that they would blast into these communities to keep people like just get it to stop, and they'll do anything, like just get it to stop, right? And I feel like on some level, that's what they're doing internally to Black people to keep us like not paying attention to the real shit. So we know there's distractions and, that's real. But I just think there's another level of insidiousness that is more than just like, I don't like Tyler, or I don't like Kanye, or I don't like Nicki, or oh, they get on my nerves. It's something a little bit more that is being done to keep us in this state of disarray or
Yeah.
presumed disarray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's okay, psychological warfare, but also like psychological friendly fire. I do think that I'll go back on what I said about harm, because what it does do, it takes our eye off the ball, right? So, like, I'm thinking about all the fighting about whether or not Kamala should be interrupted at her book tour, where to some of us it's very obvious. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like it's counterproductive, it's counterintuitive. But the conversation becomes whether or not she should be interrupted. And during that time, Homeboy is like literally destroying the White House, like literally like knocking out the East Wing of the White House, and like things are happening because we are so focused over here. I think the WHO is even all over the place. The group that is funding the people who go and interrupt Obama and Kamala, they're billionaires.
Right.
They're billionaire backers from this, backing the same people who say there are no ethical billionaires, but are fine taking the money from these people who are doing global damage in order to act as though they themselves are enacting a little bit of change in their, or making an impact. I think it plays on the fact that everybody wants to feel as though they've had a part in something. That's why it's like, oh, we're the reason why she didn't win, therefore she must listen to us. When in actuality, no, you're not really.
Right.
Therefore, you forcing her to pay attention to you is like, okay, I'm watching you now. Now what? What do I do? And then it turns into the performative. I want you to name and shame, which are literally just words that somebody could say and not mean anything by it. I think the performance is part of the perception of success, or the succession, or the so rather than like tangible, documented a trajectory of growth, it's like, well, what words did you use? Did you say it this specific way? And then that becomes the argument in the conversation, the way that you're supposed to say it. Did you say it the right way? Meanwhile, like things that actually need to get done are getting done. Using Tyler again as a sticking point, and somebody was talking about, we don't know his politics. I was like, if you follow his Instagram, he is constantly posting about ICE. He's constantly giving people like, this is where you should go in order to avoid this. Like, to say that he has no politics is because you're choosing not to see that. And so often it is I choose not to see that because it does not make me feel morally superior to the people that I'm judging. It all goes down to like socio-political narcissism and the ability to feel. And I think Dante Kyle calls it racial low self-esteem. And I think that it fits across what's that word? Across intersections. It's intersectional. So it's not just racial, it's also like sexual, it's also gender-based, it's also economic. Like it's all, I'm better than you even though you have more money. I'm better than you even though this. I might not do this, but I have more than you because I'm this. Like it's all that comparative low self-esteem being disguised as righteousness and moral good.
Yeah. Something else that the Tyler conversation sparked in me was, and I saw a homegirl of mine on Instagram put out like, there were so many heartfelt reactions to his passing.
D'Angelo.
And say it again, from D'Angelo to D'Angelo's passing. And it continues to highlight a couple things. One, I can't remember, Diane Keaton passed away the week before, a couple days before. And I probably saw 2 or 3 people, white people, share condolences, RIP. The last white person that passed away where I remember an outpouring of RIPs from white people was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like that's literally the only person I can remember, like, damn, when she passed, like people were really hurting. That was another aspect of this reflection that I'm still, that's half baked right now, but I'm baking it, it's cooking, that the internet is fueled by the tears of Black people and by the grief and by the sorrow and by the violence and by how many ways can we see Black people down bad, that even the fact that Tyler's white fans used his grief for one of his icons, one of our icons, as a launching point for, going back to 15-year-old tweets, I think that it just highlights another, I don't know, another discrepancy behind how Black people are centered or not centered online. All that to say, I think that there is some enjoyment or some like magical wonderment on how we grieve and how we celebrate, even like how we share joy, how we emote, right? I think that the same way that, you've talked about it before, how on TikTok, there's certain aspects of Black culture that are mimicked and that are copied down from like, vernacular that we use, accents, clothes, our dances. I think on some level, our emotions are commodified. Is that the right word? Are used, it's fuel, man. It's fuel. Like that's the analogy I keep on coming back to. Every time I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense. But no, I feel like our tears, our joys, our wonderment fuels the internet only to be used against us in the
But
long run. Only to be like, yeah, that's my half-baked theory. I'm baking it though. There's the more I'm a verbal processor, so like I have to talk it through to make it make sense. But that's like they didn't even know who D'Angelo was. It wasn't even as much as he meant to so many of us. Not one person, not one white person I knew was like, dang, like D'Angelo, like not one. I still know a lot of white people. I work with the white group of people, and not one. I was like, dang, like, but when Diane Keaton died, we had a whole conversation like, damn, Diane Keaton, that's so sad. It's just, I don't know. It's something about it that's
well,
just rubbed me
I
wrong.
think, and perhaps this is one of the few times that I actually feel kind of cynical. I put a lot of blame on the recently Blacks. I think that they're the ones who are spearheading a lot of this. I do. I think they're spearheading a lot of this because of their connection to white people, because they still are either seeking approval or seeking, again, low racial self-esteem, where they can say, I am better than, or I can now control the people who made my upbringing miserable because they wouldn't accept me into their group. I think the recently Blacks are a lot to blame. They're the ones who attempt to set protocols and standards around Blackness that excludes people who do not engage the same way they do social, if not at all. It is like when people say that they're championing Black causes, and the people that they are championing are like, well, no, we don't want that. We actually do want to back up. Let me back up. And I'll use this as an example. No, they're not Black people. It's the way that people in Gaza were saying, no, please vote for Kamala. Please, I'm begging you to vote for her. And it was people outside of there who were like, no, we know what's best. We know what's
Right.
best for you. You don't really want her. She's just as bad. We're going to, on your behalf, we're going to let this other guy win because it's best for you, even though it is actually just best for us. And I think that a lot of the recently Blacks are doing that. Their
Who
ideas.
are the recently Blacks?
Huh?
Who are the recently Blacks? Like young
the
people?
Black since Ferguson's. They're Black people. They're Black since Ferguson's. They didn't engage with Black people at all until Twitter. They got a Twitter account and they're like, oh, I'm Black. If you look at them, all of their childhood friends are white. Their partners are white. They went to white schools. They lived in white neighborhoods. And then they got online and became like the Blackest people and were able to dictate and whatever. They're doing so on behalf of white people. They're the ones who feel like there always has to be a revenge plot against white people under the guise of I'm doing this for us, when it's like, no, you're mad because Jason didn't like you in the 4th grade. And this is how you get back at him.
Okay. Is that a thing? Is that like not a thing, but like is that like a widely expressed group of like a widely known group of people? Because I know white people. I'm in community with white people on a regular basis. Like I work around them. I went to a white school. I have friends that are white. And so sometimes because I've always linked it to like me being an empath, like me being empathic or
Mhm.
empathetic is like when I'm in spaces around white people and I'm like beating white people up about being racist, I'm like, damn, like they're not going to hear me. Like, how can I soften the message? And that is wrong. Like we shouldn't do that. Like we shouldn't have to do that. But I can understand that it's not about white people. It is, right? Like we know it is. It is about white people, but we can remove the personal aspect of it when we talk about white supremacy as a whole. And some of the most directly white supremacist people are people that are not white. That's how the cloak of white supremacy indoctrinates all of us, right? And so I just recently saw Deontay Kyle. I think it was Deontay Kyle. I don't think it was on a podcast. It might have been on one of his, he was talking on Twitter or somewhere. And he was saying like, the thing about white supremacy is that it's really it's really a white deficit. And because there's this white deficit nature, the cause to overreact and over respond with white supremacy is, in terms.
You're gaslighting and toxic and when it's just like a dude who doesn't like you anymore. That's allowed. like
Right,
a
right,
girl who didn't call you back. That's allowed.
right,
And
right.
now it's like not wanting to talk to somebody anymore and not wanting to have a deep discussion about it is like some sort of like, crime against humanity. And people should be, I saw someone's like, you should be able to sue if somebody cheats on you or something. Like niggas be cheating. Like what are you talking about? You don't have to stay. Like that's not about staying, but like this is life. Shit happens, and you gotta like either. And I mean this when I say shit happens. I don't. Someone's gonna be like, "What about cancer?" No, okay, I'm not talking about cancer. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about life happens. People need to deal with the things that happen, and then you learn from that, and you keep it moving.
Yeah, yeah. I can't help but wonder if like the same thing, I think we talked about it here a few times about like how parents of like the current generation of parents have tried to erase that friction from the lives of their children by, stepping in before it hits rock bottom and certain things. Like that's just a way of society now in a lot of ways. But yeah.
I don't owe you a ride to the airport. I don't owe you to help you move. Like all these things, like, are y'all really friends? Like, I understand like Uber exists, but like I remember the conversations to and from the airport. I remember like the way that this has been 20 years, but I definitely miss walking people right to the gate. Like I miss that. I used to love just sitting there waiting for them to
simpler times.
better time.
We got another comment from Megan Risley. I actually know Megan Risley. I know Megan.
That's
She
a good name,
said,
Risley.
Riz up, right?
Shout out to white Megan.
As much as gangster racism, I'm in full agreement that Black and brown people are not responsible for informing and educating others about their history. White people have the responsibility to educate themselves. Unfortunately, history is being erased and or rewritten, which makes it even more important for white people to listen to and learn from creatives like you who share your stories and lived experiences. Shout out to White and Risley.
Shout out to white Megan. Thank you for that.
I've been thinking a lot about that gangster racism piece and just everything that we've learned about that since that happened. Sorry to speak so indescriptively, but like, yo, Bossy, what is happening right now? It's like there's some evil. Here's the thing, like for those of us that are conspiracy theorists that always think like, oh, what's really happening here? It's like they're removing a layer of the mystique. So it's like you don't have to guess if it's a conspiracy theory, or you don't have to wonder if they're lying to you. It's right there. It's on my face. It's on the screen, and it's jarring a little bit.
I feel like the people who are, I don't know, orchestrating things haven't caught up with the times, haven't caught up with people being able to like slow things down and enhance and all that stuff. The fear though is all these Gen Z kids who know how to do that and will be moving into those positions at some point. But right now they are ill prepared for the at-home investigators and computer techs Like that video you sent me, like I already suspected something. I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's something. It's something. I don't know what it is. It's something. That video you sent me two videos?
Yes,
There's
I
two
sent you the
videos.
one. Yeah, the one from Candace Owens and the one from
Yes.
the
Yes,
the
yes, yes, yes.
whose names. Yeah. But
That
yeah, I mean,
one,
huh?
the one where he zoomed in on the what's it called?
The shirt, the exit wound.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really think about exit wounds. That part I was like, I don't understand what that means. But I saw a video like 2 weeks ago, where somebody had the same gun
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
shot at something and it literally exploded. Like
right.
the thing exploded and
Yeah,
he shot that and he's like, I'm gonna shoot an 80-pound this and I'm gonna like he was just shooting. It's like all of these things explode when you use this gun to shoot them. There's
yeah.
no way that it was just a pew pew. There's no way.
One shot,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
shot. That was
And
the
nobody else.
and nobody else. And that was the thing that like it's all so insidious, man. And I don't. It's like we were chastised. The collective we were chastised for making light of his death, right?
Not having the proper reverence for it.
And not having like we were collectively chastised from the president all the way on down. And when you think about how they chastised us, I'm saying us loosely, because I feel like on our platform, I feel like we were pretty careful, with being whatever, right? But the president of the United States went on camera, on Twitter, through social, everything, damning us to hell. All these politicians, homeboy, the cross-eyed FBI director, what's his name?
Dinesh Patel?
Oh, is it Patel? That
I
seems
think
so
so. We might be racist.
stereotypical.
Yeah. As soon as I said it, I was like, I don't know now.
The cross-eyed Indian FBI agent that said Valhalla when in reference, like, what the?
I'll see you in Valhalla.
They chastised us because everybody was like, okay, like, no, again, nobody wanted to see him die, right? All that stuff. And also, it was so clear to me now more than ever, because he's been on my timeline so much more now than he has been before, right? And I think he's slowly filtering into other timelines that didn't align with his for a few reasons. I think all of it is conspiracy. Shortly after his death, he was entering the timeline in two ways. It was two very clear ways that people were pushing the algorithm. One, it was saying like, look how he talked to people. He deserved to die. Like that was kind of like the message. It was like, he's cutting people off. He's smug. He's arrogant. He's this and that. And then I saw a completely other side of his debates where he was like very kind and he was like giving people time. He was kind of joking and he was kind of like that. After seeing that second phase of videos when he was like, he was still being like a jerk, but he was like, all right, finish your, but he was kind of like smiling and jovial. I was like, oh, this whole shit is fake. I was like, oh, that's the gangster racism in my mind. That's when he turned into 50 Cent in my mind, because it was like, he is being villainized by one side of social media. It's like, look how he hated black people, which he probably did. And like, he talked so negatively about everybody. And then on the other side, he was acting and he was being it was just clear that he was like, oh, he's a character. He's a wrestler. He's a heel. He's when Hulk Hogan turned his beard brown, right? And then now to understand that he was probably killed by the same side of the people that are chastising us for having these complex emotions about his death. That is horror movie level insidious.
I watched six seasons of Scandal. It is so clearly this is a conspiracy theory in quotes, because all we have is the theory. But there was so much that happened that I think, to your point about who he is and him playing a character, I think he's just stupid. I think he was just like a blank slate and they were able to like not program him, but like put whatever. Yeah. Like he's not particularly charming. He's not particularly good looking. He was just an empty shell that was able to make these people angry by saying like just ridiculous things. Black people aren't smart, like just dumb shit. Like not particular, like it. You don't even have the decency to be articulate in your racism. You're just spouting bullshit. Some random trailer park person would spout the same thing. And then over here, you're being overly Christian in a way that also doesn't have any teeth to it. You're not even quoting scripture really. You're
Yeah, it's
just
like God is
talking,
good.
I love Jesus.
I love Jesus.
Exactly. So that, and then combining that with how he was so, he's nothing, not nothing, but like the reverence you're giving this person in death is
Yeah.
not is completely disconnected with who he was in life. Why are you working so hard to lionize this person? Why are you working so hard to make us feel like the Saint John Paul or whatever died?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? And because of that, and that's also why a lot of people started looking into it. Like, all right, we liked him, but he was cool, but like a national holiday? Like,
yeah, all right.
like what?
Yeah.
So seeing people, did you hear about the church, the mass shooting at the church?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you see who did it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I saw a picture of him. Yeah.
And he had the truck with the flags and the eagle, like that standard patriot shit. And they're saying, I can't remember who it was. I said it, but they're saying they did it for Charlie. Like, he was in Utah, Mormon state, and apparently all through the dark spaces of Twitter and wherever they have these comment Truth Social, they're blaming Mormons. And it's a whole like get the Mormons thing, because Mormons aren't Christian according to them. They didn't turn over, like, just all these like things that they believed and are acting on it. And it reminds me of, I remember when January 6th happened and we were like, who were they talking to? Like, how does this happen? But they've got their own network and they've got their own like space on the internet where all of this, and apparently there's a space in the internet right now that wants to murder in the name of Charlie.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you ask, like, why are they doing all this? Why are they deify him and making him a saint? And when we thought it was just because he was a white guy that supported Trump, that supported this, this alt-right Christian nationalism, white Christian nationalism, but they're doing it in this insidious way because they did it. Because they did it. And they're
what happened to the text? Like, y'all for a week straight, the text. Now, have you heard anything about these texts? Because we all figured out that no 20-year-old who games all day, that they're like, all right, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, text in full sentences. I mean, in small things. I'm still balancing, like, does he in death deserve our respect? When I say, like, I don't want to like disrespect his name, but like, I don't really care. Like, in my heart, I don't. But I also feel like there's a response. Anyway, whatever. Where are his parents, my nigga? Where are his parents?
Where are his parents? They didn't.
Where's his brothers, sisters, his people he went to school with?
They didn't attend the memorial or whatever that shit was. None of that.
I think they showed. They didn't.
They didn't.
Yo,
they didn't.
Like what? So okay. So
they're parading the wife around instead of the mother. That says a lot to me.
And they paraded her around for like 30 minutes. Where is she now? Where is she now?
She's doing press now.
Is she still now? She's doing
press now. So there's been a lot of conversation about her makeup and the fact that, like, just as a woman, you're going to a memorial service, you don't know whether you're going to break down in tears. You're not doing full eye makeup. You're not doing that. You're just not. You're not, because you never know when it's going to hit you, whatever. So people have been talking about that, like being very careful, like white women being very careful on TikTok. And they're like, all right, I like Charlie, but I'm a little like, what is happening here? And so the next time you see her, she doesn't have all the makeup on. Now she has like a natural look, because your team saw people start like, this is, you can see, oh, your team saw this. You recognize that people feel this way. Like,
fam, did you see? It's like we're watching a real life movie. Did you see when Trump hugged her after she gave her speech? What the? Yo. Can we, like, why did he do that? Yo, y'all.
It was weird.
For those who haven't
they know each other from like Romania or some shit.
What?
Like, it's not.
I've never heard that before. But
and there's a whole thing. She knows him from Romania. She was in Romania. She got kicked out of Romania because kids kept going up missing. Like, it's a whole thing.
Okay, see, now you went down a deeper, darker criminal lane.
Human trafficking, Epstein, like, it's all connected. She knew Trump before she knew Charlie. They probably gave her to Charlie for like, listen, it's a bunch of shit.
No,
I am open to all of the conspiracy because all of this shit is weird.
all of it is weird. Why did he bite his lip like that when he hugged her though? Did you see that? Like he was like, yeah, like he was like, my bitch now. Like, yo, it was crazy. And so this is where I'm just to our listeners, I am what might sound like disrespect. I am doing what I would do in any situation.
Man,
If
fuck
you're
that nigga. Be disrespectful.
if
I
you're
don't care.
objectively
Fuck.
watching something, and why did he grab her like that? Like, I don't grab my friend's grieving wife, be like, yeah, give me a hug. She's like, what the? Yo, what? Where am I? Well, I'm watching this shit like, how? How do people on that side of politics watch that as if it's normal? Because it doesn't matter. We can have all the differing views you want, and this is really what I'm trying to grasp as just as an educator. We're always thinking about both sides of the story. Fuck all that, right? Fuck all that. If I'm watching something and someone that doesn't agree with anything I believe in is watching something, we have to be able to come up with some universal truths of what we're watching. If I'm watching Donald Trump, I hate him as a politician. I wish he wasn't our president. I don't like him. I don't think he's qualified. I think he's the worst president of all time. And someone that loves him is watching him. And we're watching him hug a grieving woman and he bites his lip as if to say, come here, bitch, and give me a hug. Can we not both be like, that's weird?
I've seen people who love him start to question a lot about it. All of his movements, the whole thing that Jimmy Kimmel got in trouble for, where he was like, look at the ballroom. It's going to be the best ballroom. They've been trying to make this ballroom for years and I got it done. Donald J. Trump. Like, they're like, what? Why are you acting like this? Like, they're definitely starting to question, and it took this nigga to dying to do it. But at the same time, there's this woman that she was in a cult and she recognizes MAGA as a cult. So she talks on TikTok a lot about the similarities and the fact that now a lot of them are starting to like realize certain things, and we kind of have to let them. You can't do now you're doing it, because cults take, like, for them to get to the point where they're even questioning him, that takes a lot. So they're moving through like the stages of getting out of a cult, but there are definitely a lot more people than before are starting to recognize again that he is not, either he's not well or he's not a good person or all of the above.
He is literally anytime I see him, he's acting like someone that is responsible for a murder and is hiding it.
Mhm.
Like, if you could imagine like what it would be like to be a criminal and you're on the run, but you're in plain sight and like you're trying to do like dumb, stupid
Do you
shit.
think they told him? Do you think they told him? Do you think he knows?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they do. I
But
think
he can't keep his mouth shut. Like, he has tells all the time.
Exactly. And I think all the shit that he's been doing recently that's even more weird is it's literally his inability to be normal, even for him, right? Like, and just the way that he's been doing even more ridiculous shit. Like he put did you see the meme he put on Truth Social yesterday with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries? There is like a picture of them, and he put a Mexican sombrero image and the stereotypical like mustache on Hakeem Jeffries to imply like something ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And it's more of these like ridiculous, even for him, things that he's doing. If you think of like when you catch your kids in a lie and they just start doing dumb shit to like make you forget about the fact that they lied to you, like that's what he's doing in a presidential 80-year-old white racist perspective. And it's so obvious to me, and I just can't for the life of me understand how there are any supporters of him, whether you're a Republican or not. Like, how can you watch this and say like, well, this is just what our country needs? No, you're
for some reason, again, Charlie Kirk was the wrong one. Like, for some reason, he was the wrong one, and he's why. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's starting to flip on Trump because of Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens, like you sent me.
They're all. I don't know if this is recent. I think the video I sent you from Candace Owens was from last week, but she's been like posting all these messages, and Margie Taylor Greene as well. And there was another woman as well that posted these messages within the last 48 hours saying, like, I'm not suicidal. And no matter what, like, if people say I'm not suicidal, there's some things going on behind the scenes. So it's like all these things are happening. There's clearly something going on, right? And I
Wait,
think it's just
is it more than, wait, who did you just say said the I'm not suicidal thing? It was a woman?
Candace Owens said it.
Uh-huh.
And then was it Laura Loomis or Margie Taylor Greene? I think it was
It
Margie.
was her. I saw a man say it, and I can't remember who, like
Yeah.
a prominent Republican man. I can't remember who it
Yeah.
was.
I saw
I didn't
that.
know
And
they were
then
all saying
Candace
that.
was referencing Tyler Robinson, the killer, Charlie
Yes,
Kirk's
he's
killer.
yes, yeah.
He relayed a message through whoever, and it got to Candace, and the message was, I'm not suicidal. Everything that you read about me is a lie. My dad did not turn me in. Like, all this shit is fake. Like, I did not shoot. And came out plain and simple and said. So, and the last one was your boy, Rogan is also questioning, like, Joe
My
Rogan's
boy.
like,
Relax.
I'm just saying, like this couldn't have talking the same thing with the gun as this old gun. He only had a screwdriver to disassemble it, and
And it takes a long time to put it together and take it apart, then put it back together.
right,
Yeah.
right. So it all of this, man. And then you mentioned the shooting in Michigan at the Mormon church, and did you hear about the shooting in North Carolina?
No.
You know what I'm like? What? Same profile of dude, ex-military, weird looking face, was on a boat and did a sail-by shooting on the Cape Fear River down there in Wilmington area, like in that general area, of a restaurant on the water, and killed 3 people the same day as the Mormon joint, almost at the same time. It got like almost like time-wise, it hit my timeline at the same time. I think the Mormon piece this was on a Sunday, right? I think Saturday or Sunday. And the reason why it's connecting is because Danielle had a business trip and she was in Wilmington, and she was either on her way back, and it happened that night or the night before, but it was around the same time. Killed 3 people, and it's barely making any news. Same profile
Didn't
person,
even hear about it.
white dude, ex-military, some connection to the right on some level. And why is it, again, as a dog whistle, as a guilty person trying to do the most ridiculous shit ever, are we declaring war in Portland, Oregon? Did you hear about that?
No.
See?
You're giving me all this new information. I haven't heard it. I don't know what, like, am I even alive? I don't know any of this shit.
So we know that there's ICE agents in Chicago now, right?
So I kept thinking Helen Keller, and I was like, yeah, he's been exposed. But it was Amelia Earhart. I was like, okay, I guess.
It's gotta be. We said this on here at the very beginning I think it might have even been in one of those episodes that we recorded, but we never aired. Remember, it was like one of the first initial ones, and we were both like, down. Why my doorbell keeps on ringing? Who is bothering me? Look, we were talking about isolation.
But